EPCOT's Food and Wine Festival has begun, and it's totally different from how you remember it. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. Just like 2020 itself, this year's EPCOT Food and Wine Festival is different. We're still crowning our top eats of the festival, but there's a whole lot of things that have changed. Even the name of the festival this year is different. This is a taste of EPCOT Food and Wine Festival because it is just that, a taste. It might be the longest festival Disney World has ever had. There isn't even an end date yet, but it's also lacking a lot of the things that make food and wine food and wine. A taste of the Food and Wine Festival is kind of a hybrid. Some of our favorite dishes from the Flower and Garden Festival that got cut short are still around, along with a ton of merchandise from that festival. But there are no seminars or demonstrations, no festival center, and no Eat to the Beat concert series. Among returning favorite dishes, like the always popular Le Cellier cheddar cheese soup, are spring hits like the orange cream shake in that souvenir Orangeburg cup that people went nuts over last year and in March again this year. And in between those random character cavalcades around World Showcase, you'll still see some topiaries from Flower and Garden. 2020 is a very bizarre year indeed, but for now, we'll go back to what we love more than most other things at Disney World, the EPCOT festivals. All right, best of the fest. So picking the best of the fest this time around was tough. There are so many favorites brought back from this year's Flower and Garden Festival and last year's Food and Wine Festival. But don't worry, we managed to narrow it down for you. If you want all the festival details and info, including every single booth menu and food photo, you can pick up a copy of our DFB guide to the Food and Wine Festival. Again, things are a little different this year, but we've got all the updates and everything you need to know in that ebook. You can get a copy at dfbstore.com. Don't forget to use code YouTube for a discount on anything and everything in the store. The street corn funnel cake at the funnel cake stand. Now, recently the funnel cake stand has been bringing some serious winners to the festival. Now, it's interesting because this is a third-party company that runs the funnel cake stand, and they also run those kiosks out by the boardwalk. But we have not been disappointed in one of their festival funnel cakes in several festivals now, and this one makes the list as well. Street corn funnel cake. This one was almost immediately crowned one of our best of the fest contenders, and we stand by that decision. Pretty much every funnel cake from here ends up on our list, but this one is a savory one. Corn, cheese, cilantro, and crema on a funnel cake. The flavors of this dish melded in a way that was totally unexpected, and the texture of the funnel cake was just the right mix of soft and crisp. At $9, it is a great shareable snack. All right, let's go to an old standby, the Schinkennudeln in Germany. I know I'm saying that wrong, I'm sorry. But it's basically like the most amazing macaroni and cheese you've ever had. This always makes our best of the fest list. We're always going to put it on here because you know what? We try it every year and it's always really good. This is the pasta gratin with ham, onions, and cheese, and you can't go wrong. And at just $4.25, it's a big portion and a whole lot of carbs for a low price snack. Now remember, they do have basically the same thing at Summerfest, which is the counter service location in Germany, all year. That one I don't believe has ham in it, but it's basically the same sort of cut of square mac and cheese. It's really, really good. So if you are craving this and it's not festival time, you can still get something very similar at Summerfest year round. All right, we're going to head over to Africa for the peri peri skewered shrimp. This is a perfect blend of spices with a surprising and delicious flavor profile. There's a lot of dimension to this one. For $6.75, the portion size is really good too. It's very shareable, or it's great as a quick lunch. The shrimp is light, it's not going to weigh you down, but it's going to give you some protein for a little bit of energy to keep going. All right, over in Morocco, the beef kefta pocket is back. Now, interestingly, this one hasn't really made our best of the fest in the past, but I don't know if they've changed up the spices or something's a little bit different here, but it was excellent this year. Now, this one's $9. It's a super filling portion with a ton of flavor, and it had, like I said, a lot more flavor than we've come to expect. So there's a little bit of heat here, a whole lot of spice. We think you're going to love it. All right, another old favorite makes the list again, the Kalua pork sliders from Hawaii. This is a festival staple. Pulled pork, sweet and sour dole, pineapple chutney, and spicy mayonnaise on a sweet roll for $5.25. Pair that with an Alani sunrise. This year you can get it in a souvenir tiki glass for $14, but you don't have to. You can get it for cheaper if you don't get the tiki glass. And then you've got basically an island getaway in Central Florida. So those of you who love that Kalua pork slider, it is back. And I think we have the recipe on the blog as well. Over in Mexico, there's a pork tostada. Now, Mexico is always one of our best of the fest booths. They always do new and different things there, and they're always changing it up. bringing in different margaritas, different tostadas and tacos, and you never know what you're going to get there, but it's always going to be delicious. So the pork tostada is making our best of the fest list from Mexico this year. It's a fried corn tortilla with a nice crispiness to it. The roasted pork was melt in your mouth tender and really, really good. Now this is served street style with chipotle black beans, fresh salsa verde, onions, and cilantro for $6.75. We had ours with a Classica margarita for $10.75, made with tequila, chili poblano liqueur, lime juice, and agave nectar with a salt rim. All right, those mimosas are back at Shimmering Sips. All 3 mimosas are back this year, and the booth has been around since 2018. Those mimosas are still just $6, which is shocking that the price hasn't gone up. Key lime mimosa with key lime sparkling wine and cranberry juice. That blood orange mimosa with sparkling wine and blood orange juice. The tropical mimosa with passion fruit orange and guava juice, that famous POG juice, which has an extra kick of bubbles, and all 3 are so delicious. We're going to let you decide which one is best. All right, let's bring that frothy ramen back from Japan. The Japan booth is bringing back a lot of favorites, including that frothy ramen from last year's Food and Wine Festival. This is definitely one for fish lovers, as the broth is very fishy, but the foam was unique, and it's a cold noodle dish, which is great for the super hot weather right now. That one's $6.25. All right, you guys, this we are super excited about. There is a mac and cheese booth at the Food and Wine Festival this year, an entire booth just for mac and cheese. This one's sponsored by Boursin, which I don't know, how do you not like Boursin cheese, right? It's delicious. You can get 4 different varieties here, but the Gourmet mac, which was kind of like the simplest one, was our favorite. So this is served with Boursin garlic and fine herbs cheese sauce topped with herbed panko for $4.50, and it came with a giant glob of Boursin cheese, like just flopped on top. I wish that my mac and cheese had been a little warmer so that the cheese would have sort of melted into it. That would have been really, really good. But unfortunately, I think the mac and cheese had been sitting around for a little bit by the time I got mine. But it's one that I would definitely probably go and order a couple of times just to see if there was the option to sort of, if you got a warmer one, if it sort of melted in. But regardless, even though it was a little bit kind of on the not so warm side, it was still totally delicious. This one's a must-do. I also really, really liked the buffalo chicken mac and cheese here. Like I said, there are 4 different kinds of mac and cheese. I really like the buffalo chicken mac and cheese here as well, which you guys know I'm from Buffalo, and I'm very, very picky about my buffalo sauce and where it's used. But this was excellent as well. So if you are a fan of sort of buffalo chicken flavored stuff, this is a good one. Now, here's an interesting little tip. So the macaroni and cheese booth, along with several other booths, 3 other booths actually, so there's 4 in total, are all located in the World Showplace Pavilion this year. And you know, the World Showplace is usually where they have the Party for the Senses. So that's that big indoor sort of convention space that's located between United Kingdom and Canada pavilions. So what happens though is that they have limited capacity in that space. So there may be a little bit of a queue to get in. You may have to join a virtual queue to get in if things are a little bit crowded in there. So just a heads up to that. That's one of the different things about the festival. Okay, now speaking of cheesy goodness, let's head over to the Canada booth. The Canada booth is of course back this year, and we're going to talk about that cheddar cheese and bacon soup like we do every year, because that is a public service announcement that is necessary year after year after year. Can it even be a best of the fest list if the cheddar cheese soup doesn't make the list? I don't think so. So for $5.25, this is the only hot soup we're willing to down, even though it's hotter than the surface of the sun in EPCOT right now, because it's just that good. This is the classic Le Cellier cheddar cheese soup paired with a pretzel roll, and it's become an icon of the Food and Wine Festival. You cannot go wrong with this one. And remember, if you do have a advanced dining reservation at Le Cellier, you can always get this soup in there as well. They have it on the menu year round. All right, let's go to Citrus Blossom. So the entire Citrus Blossom booth is a flower and garden transplant, and we're not mad at it. It was one of our favorites this spring. The crispy citrus chicken with orange aioli and baby greens for $5.75 is actually a gluten-free option, and sometimes that can translate to, quote, not that crispy, unquote, but this dish has a great crunch to it. And the orange cream shake has also returned, along with that adorable orange bird souvenir sipper for $15. This guy had long lines back in March and last year, so grab him while you can. All right, my favorite carrot cake. I cannot have a Best of the Fest without this carrot cake in it. I hope they never take it away. It's basically called the freshly baked carrot cake, and it comes smothered in cream cheese icing. Since it's served warm, the icing just sort of waterfalls off the sides, and this cake is so delicious and fresh. For $4.25, it's easily shareable as well. All right, we got to talk about the poutine at Refreshment Port. Last year, Refreshment Port was offering a poutine topped with beef brisket or duck confit, which has not returned, but you can still get the traditional poutine. The French fries are crisp and salty, while the beef gravy is super rich and flavorful. Plus, it's topped with those delicious, flavorful, rich cheese curds. They have just the right squeak to them. For $7.50, we wish this one would stay year-round, and sometimes it does. The liquid nitro chocolate cake pops. Yes, so these are fresh cake pops that they are dipping in chocolate and then dipping into liquid nitrogen to freeze them. Super cool, super delicious, the perfect texture. I don't know about you guys, I love a super gooey cake pop that's actually cold. So it's actually right out of the refrigerator. It's one of my favorite ways to eat them. And so that's sort of what they're doing here, and I love it. It's at the Desserts and Champagne booth, which is in the World Showplace. And they are giant cake pops. Like, they're huge, like the size of your fist. They dip them in dark chocolate, and then they put Twix chocolate bars, M&Ms, or just plain, and they're $4 each, which honestly, that's a great deal because these things are huge. So this is easily shareable between two people, especially because of how rich they are. So, all right, so let's talk about the best booth. It's always France, isn't it? I mean, it's always France and Mexico. Those two do a really good job at these festivals, but we're back with France being one of our favorite entire booths of the festival. Both savory dishes here are carryovers from the Flower and Garden Festival, and we're glad they stuck around because they are delicious. The duck confit à l'orange, did I say that right? À l'orange? À la orange? This duck is super tender and juicy, served over a warm bed of mashed sweet potatoes. So there's so much sweetness in here, but at the same time, it's savory. So good. This one's $6.25. And the onion and goat cheese tart with tons of layers of flaky pastry and caramelized onion, $5.50. Hawaii, Mexico, and the mac and cheese booth all came in close to winning best booth this year, but France beat them all out for the best booth because when you throw in dessert and the always refreshing slush this year, it's the La Vie en Rose slushy with vodka, Grey Goose, Saint Germain, white and red cranberry juice. It's returning from Flower and Garden. We've seen it before, but it's really delicious and beautiful. All right, on our best for kids list, the Tempura Donburi. This new tempura is $8 over at the Japan Pavilion, and it features 2 pieces of crispy tempura shrimp and vegetable tempura, served with a tensuyu dipping sauce over sushi rice. This one had great texture and flavor, and if your kiddos love popcorn shrimp, this is a must-get. Now, the most Instagrammable is going to be that Blue Spectrum again. Over at Wine and Dine, you're going to find the drink that first debuted at the Light Lab. You guys remember the Light Lab so many years ago? Flavor-wise, this drink just tastes like champagne with some boba pearls mixed in, but once it's poured, you can watch the beads float around in the Blanc de Bleu Cuvée Mousseux. So it's beautiful, definitely Instagrammable, $9. Now, we want to give you a few festival tips because, again, this festival is very different than other festivals have been. So, first up, like we said, there are no Eat to the Beat concerts this year, but you can still catch some live musical acts at the America Garden stage. Mariachi Cobre and the Jammers are performing a few times a day, so you'll definitely be able to catch them. There are also plenty of characters to see. Just keep an eye out because there's no set times for the character cavalcades that will show up around World Showcase. We also saw Winnie the Pooh and Joy just in a field over by the Imagination Pavilion. So yeah, keep that eye out. You never know where you might see a character unexpectedly right now. And like I said, World Showplace is different this year. It's that big tent between Canada and UK. And you can see those 4 booths, Desserts and Champagne, where those Nitro cake pops are, Mac and Cheese booth, Wine and Dine, which is basically showcasing festival favorites. So those are 3 dishes from previous festivals that people usually like a lot that did not have their entire booths return this year. And then Appleseed Orchard is back again this year. Now the whole area is air conditioned, and while there might be a virtual queue to get in, you do get to relax in the AC. There's a very large and not often used bathroom in there as well. It's a great spot to take a break from the heat. There's plenty of tables. There's lots of space, especially since EPCOT is going to be limited capacity. There's a lot of places to just set up and chill out and eat for a little bit. So great addition. I hope they do that for future festivals, because I think it's real smart to kind of use that space for a little break from the heat. Several longtime booths are not back this year, but you can still find several of the items in that Wine and Dine booth, which is featuring festival favorites. There are also no beer flights this year, so if you want to try several beers from a single booth, you're going to need to purchase them individually. They're offering different sizes this year too. Typically they're only tiny portions, but now you can get a full pour at the festival booths. Now, while a lot of festival activities have not returned, you can still do Remy's Ratatouille Hide and Squeak Scavenger Hunt. That one's $7.99 this year, but you do get a prize when you finish, and that's a great thing for the kiddos to do with you, mom and dad, while you guys are eating around the festival. And since this is a hybrid festival, that means you get merch from both Flower and Garden and Food and Wine. So you can pick up all of that cute Orange Bird merchandise from the spring, along with the new line of Food and Wine merch, which isn't out yet, but it's coming out later this fall. Oh, and annual pass holders, don't forget, you get 30% off merch through August 14th. There are more tables around World Showcase this year. They're widely spaced out, so there are more places to stop and eat or sip on a drink. There are also fewer people, so it's easier to find a table. Now, Disney has recently added the rule that guests have to be stationary and physically distanced to eat or drink, so use those extra tables to adhere to that new policy. That means you can't walk around and eat your food or drink your drink anymore. You have to be stationary, meaning standing still. Now, this way you can get out of the crowd, set your food down, take your mask off in a safer spot, and bring those Clorox wipes too. Tables are getting cleared relatively quickly, but if the only open table hasn't been wiped down yet, you might want to just do it yourself. If you're still looking for the perfect mask for your Disney trip, we're selling some over on our Teespring site. There are tons of cute Disney patterns, and we're designing more right now, so keep an eye out for that shop update. And just like other years, we recommend having a tray for your food. This is great if you're picking up multiple items at once, so you don't have to juggle them, but you also can use your tray rather than putting things right down on a table. And remember, don't forget to pick up a copy of our DFB guide to the EPCOT Food and Wine Festival to get even more updated tips and tricks, and to have a great visit to this hybrid fest, along with full menus and tasting notes. You can get it at dfbstore.com, and don't forget to use code YouTube for a discount. Thank you guys for listening, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.